Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, episode 490. It is mid-May 2024, and as always, it's Tego and Tracy Venturi talking about what's going on with the Albuquerque real estate market, also real estate around the whole country and the trends and tips and tricks and all that good stuff. This week we have one of the stories is two big reasons to consider new construction. But Tracy, I'm sure you're going to have more than that. As well as I've got a bunch of different comparisons from Realtor.com. How does Albuquerque market compare in affordability to other markets? How do we compare in what they call market hotness? How hot is our market compared to others? As well as from Realtor.com, I've got cross-market demand that tells us who's looking in our market and who in our market is looking in other markets. Got one last thing I got to do, which was, I'm going to call it the segment called Headlines That Drive Me Crazy. So we'll talk about that as well.
Everyone's in for a good treat there because I get that pretty much every morning over coffee, the headlines that drive Tego crazy.
Oh, wow. It sounds like I'm an old grumpy guy.
They're misleading. So I understand.
Yeah, I think most people recognize that so many of the headlines that we're exposed to today and everything, especially, I don't want to talk about politics, but in politics and so many things are just to get you to click on the story. So This is another case of that here
so
locally.
We'll look forward to that, Tego.
Yeah. Let's start with, and of course we have some homes of the week that you're going to share with us. Great. First off, Tracy, if people have been listening, all you people that listen on a regular basis know that we've been in a kind of a shortage of the number of homes available to purchase, and that's continuing. We've seen a good increase in the last few weeks, which is normal this time of year. We've seen a growth in the number of homes on the market, but yet at the same time, we're seeing homes coming off the market. So it's not this building growth of homes on the market. One thing that's happened though in the last year in particular is an increase in the mix of the types of home on the market, meaning resale or new construction. So there's more new construction available as a percentage of all the homes on the market than there has been. And gosh, as long as I can remember, really. And so it's one of those things where if you're looking to purchase a home, there's a lot of good reasons to consider new construction. So I'll pitch it to you.
Okay. We talk about new construction occasionally on this show, and our listeners know that we can help you with new construction. And new construction can range from a production builder, local or national production builder, or custom. And we can help you with custom as well. We can help you find land and builders to go together. We can find lending for that type of things. But what we're talking about today really is the production builders, the Abrazo, the Twilight, the Pulte, the D.R. Horton, the Centex, the Westway, all the production builders that have different neighborhoods in our area. And what we know is the story that came out is two top reasons to consider newly built. And I looked at it and went, yep, they're both really good. Top reasons why. One is adding newly built into your mix when you're searching for a home can add more options. We have some infill neighborhoods around Albuquerque and the whole metro area, ranging from 2-bedroom homes in Moriarty, like we talked about last week, to high-end or high-priced production-built homes by Hoffmantown Church, right? Pulte's got a new neighborhood there, and those home prices are going over $1 million for a Pulte home. However, other parts of town prices are fairly affordable compared to resale. It used to be that new construction was a lot more per square foot than resale homes. However, they might still be more per square foot, but
it's funny. Of course, as soon as you said that, I happen to have the market data stuff in front of me. So I'm going to pull that up and tell you. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to keep going. So the newly built homes or the new construction, resale homes are tight. You just said that. We don't have as many homes on the market, but we do have quite a few builders building houses, whether they're already in the process of being built, so you can buy it almost done or completed and move right in, or some of the builders have lots available where you can actually pick the lot, pick the floor plan, and then go to the design center and pick out what tile and flooring and colors you want in your home. So there's a lot of new build options from our local builders. One of the things that isn't mentioned in this story are some of the incentives that are being offered by some of our local builders. And some of them are offering up to $40,000 in flex cash. which can take somebody who maybe was only able to afford a $350,000 house. Maybe you can now buy a almost $400,000 new construction because the builders are giving flex cash to either buy down your interest rate, so it makes that interest rate more affordable, or use it towards some of your closing costs, use it towards other upgrades. Just really flexible, and you can use it in multiple ways, sometimes not just one of those ways. But the other thing,
when you consider if you can save 1% or even 2% in some cases, that's especially long term, that's going to make a huge difference.
It does, for sure. Over the life of 30 years, having an interest rate that maybe makes your payment $100 or $200 less a month, it can be pretty significant.
Okay, for all the people that are saying nobody stays in a home for 30 years, some people do, but it's rare. But yes, the time in homes has increased.
We have worked with a lot of people in the last few years that own their house free and clear, we say. They don't have a mortgage. They've already paid it off. And it might be they haven't been there for 30 years, but maybe they made extra payments every month, or maybe they went to biweekly payments that we've talked about. Maybe they've done some lump sum payments and they haven't been there 30 years, but they've paid it off. So there's a lot of people sitting with no mortgage.
Yeah, no, for sure. About 30% in the last data I looked of all the homes, there's about 30% that have no mortgage. And what I wanted to share one thing is, so going back to this. So when we look at price per square foot, I just did the math as you were talking. That's why I was ignoring you.
I know. I knew what you were doing.
I know. I was listening. I was doing the math.
That's all right.
We
appreciate that you give us the math.
About 10 to 12% more per square foot for new construction versus resale.
Which leads me to point number 2. Newly built homes might be more affordable than you think. So if you're wondering if new build could be an option for you and you've previously written them off, thought that they might be out of your budget, you might want to reconsider, because the price gap between newly built and existing is shrinking. And here's why. Builders are building what's in demand. What's in demand is a price point, basically. And so what they're doing is they're adjusting perhaps the size of the home, downsizing it a little bit so that they can be a little more affordable.
Air quote.
Value engineering. So they're building smaller homes at lower price points so that more people can afford their homes. And what we know is right now, West Side, Rio Rancho, Los Lunas, Southwest Albuquerque, different parts of town, we can find you new construction for low 300s. Los Lunas has high 200s for a 2-bedroom. Some other options we talked about.
Brook has those homes in Moriarty at around 250. They're smaller homes, but you can get a new construction home for around 250 in Albuquerque area.
Yeah. And Fellowship Homes was building in Rio Rancho those 2 bedrooms on half acres for just under 300 as well. I think they might be sold out, but maybe more in the works. Anyway, we can now find in the 300s really nice new construction that has incentives. Almost every builder right now has some sort of special incentives for buyers to help them get into these new homes. So this wasn't on the list, but think about some of the benefits of new construction versus resale. First of all, it's new. All the appliances, all the mechanicals, the roof, everything's new. So as a home buyer, you might stretch yourself to buy that house right now that's maybe a little bit out of your price comfort zone or your monthly payment comfort zone. Over time, though, as your earnings grow, that payment fairly stays the same other than taxes. So if you stretch yourself now, you're probably not going to have a lot of maintenance costs for the next 10 to 15 years because everything's new and shouldn't break, right? Whereas you buy a resale house, the roof might have 5 years of life expectancy left on it. The HVAC heating cooling system might be 15, 20 years old already and might be close to the end of its life. Hot water heaters, they say they're good for 12 to 15 years, and most of them that we see in houses are 20 to 30 years old. I know ours is chugging along, although we did just have you replace a water heater in a house, and you did a great job. The trade-off for having things not break or need maintenance for 10, 15, 20 years really is going to offset some of those resale home fees that might come up in the next 10 to 15 years. So a lot of reasons to love new construction. Of course, we can help you with that. Give us a ring, 448-8888. We have some awesome realtors on our team who really know real construction, new construction, and different parts of town, what's available, really have a pulse on the inventory. So we would love to help you with that. And gosh, I love I love showing new construction.
I know. You get excited about it.
Yeah. One of the things that's really awesome about it is when we help you, a lot of times people are out driving and they see a sign, a new construction sales office, and they walk in and they might buy a house right then and there. And we've known that to happen. They're in the market, but they find a new construction and walk in. What they might not know is if they'd have gone 2 more blocks, there was another builder that maybe had a better house for them and they didn't even know it, right? So it's great when you work with us because we can make sure you know about all the different builders in an area and get you the right neighborhood, the right price, the right home.
And the right features, and help you negotiate the terms as well as negotiate what's best for you, and maybe even point out some red flags that we're aware of.
Totally. It's one of those things where I love the new home salespeople at those offices. They work for the builder and they have an obligation to get the best for the builder, right? Because they're not working for the buyer. They're working to sell the house for the builder. So I think people forget that when they walk into those offices. We have great people that take great care of sales team members at those offices are great people, but they can't really say, hey, you might want to ask for blinds or you might want to ask for a refrigerator. We could probably negotiate that. We have to bring those things up on behalf of our buyers.
That actually segues into something that I did want to talk about, which was a home buyer realtor representation. That is going to be changing. The way we've done things is changing. If you've been paying attention a little, there's been a lot of news about how there's this lawsuit and the realtor commissions are going to change and the way their realtors get paid for what they do is going to change. And this is going to have a very big impact on buyers. There may be a misunderstanding is that when somebody's buying a home, they reach out to a realtor or somebody they know, or maybe they find somebody online, Google us and find us and call us, right? We are working on behalf of that person, right? We're not generally agents in New Mexico. I don't want to go into all the detail on that, but basically we work on their behalf. We're a transaction broker and we're helping them. We have broker duties that we must do and all that stuff, right? Well, we represent them. We're there to help them. Our duty is to put their best interests in mind and tell them the truth, maybe even if they don't want to hear it. The thing is, it's going to change. So the fallout from this lawsuit that's in the pipeline right now is that every buyer is going to have to basically contract with a realtor to help them. And when I say contract, I'm saying it's a written agreement that says how much that broker is going to get paid and how they're going to get paid. Up until this change that's coming in August, it's been that the buyer representative, that the realtor gets paid through closing, usually from the seller side.
And that compensation is right up front, what the seller is offering. We see it in our multiple listing service. It's right there. We know how much the seller is offering the buyer's representative.
And of course, nobody works for free. And that was the system we had. That system is going away. No longer will the seller be offering compensation in the MLS. Now, the seller can, but it won't be the system that we've had where it's in the multiple listing service and that's just part of the agreement right up front. Now it's going to be every buyer and every buyer broker is going to have to negotiate the terms of how that buyer broker is going to get paid. It could come from the seller, but it could come from the buyer as well. So it's going to really have a big impact on buyers in the sense that they can't just call up and say, hey, I want to go show a home. There's going to have to be an interview process and this is what I'm trying to get to, is the buyer is going to have to interview their broker and find somebody that they like before they go look at homes.
They don't have to interview. They just have to agree to sign an agreement. They don't have to go through a big interview. Obviously, we prefer to do strategy sessions and sit down and talk about how real estate works, because we feel it's really important these days to take the time to educate all the home buyers out there and take the time to give them all what could happen, how it works, how the ducks fall in a row and things, right?
Yeah. And I think I want to make clear that nobody is required. If you're buying a house, you're not required to have somebody represent you. You can go directly to whoever's got the home listed and say, I want to buy it, but you got to figure out everything.
Right.
That other broker works for the seller. They don't work for the buyer. And they have obligation to be honest and stuff. They don't have to help you do all the stuff. For example, Tracy, I've got this chart here. I can show it. We've got this flow chart on the process on just doing the home inspection, objections, repair requests, negotiations. It's, I don't know.
It's pretty complex. So we often tell our clients when we do that home buying strategy session, we say getting the offer put together and negotiating the offer and getting it under contract is our first negotiation. But there are other negotiations that we handle. And the big one is exactly what you just mentioned. After all the inspections and title work's done, that's where we come in and help the buyer formulate what we want to negotiate with the seller at that point based on the due diligence.
I think about a buyer that really doesn't understand the process and just says, okay, I'm going to make an offer on this home. Do they know what the standard time is to verify that you can get insurance on the property, the standard time to get home inspections ordered and repair requests made and who to do them, and all the little different steps in the process that you just don't know that you don't know.
And just finding a great lender to be your partner and what their role is and what they're going to need. And for us, we spend a lot of time, Tego, giving people the heads up about the steps and what's going to be coming, what to expect, because people need that time to be ready and digest it and not feel like they're constantly being asked for something that they didn't know was going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's great. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that because it is going to change how buyers and realtors work together. And just, it's coming in August, so be prepared for that.
Let's talk about some homes.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the last week, Tego, 298 homes have come on the market in our multiple listing service. We know not every new construction home is in there, but that's a different topic we get to cover soon because there's a new way for that. 273 went pending sale in the last week. So 298 came on the market, 273 went pending sale. Doesn't mean those were of the 298. Those are of all the houses that were already on the market, including those new ones. We did see 205 close in the last week. And we actually saw 77 homes in the last week fall out of contract and come back on the market. So sometimes we like to strategize with our home buying clients and say, if that house you loved went pending before you could get it, let's talk about putting a backup offer in. 77 houses in a week that had been in pending sale came out of pending sale for some reason. The buyer's loan, the inspections, their job situation changed, whatever the reason of why.
And that's something we talk to sellers about. It is not uncommon that 20 to 30% of the homes that go under contract fall out for some reason. Could be a lending problem, could be usually inspections, some other due diligence item in the contract. But normally it's inspections or issues with either appraisal or getting the loan, which getting the appraisal is part of the loan.
So I have a lot of homes I want to talk about because that's what we do. So first one is a house that we don't represent as the listing broker on it. I just want to mention it because it's on Riding Circle, which is a street in Paradise Hills East. Okay. So it's right above Cibola High School.
Okay.
And it's on this ridge that's up above Cibola and has just phenomenal views to the north, to the east, just gorgeous. And it's one of those that I just hope somebody I know gets because it's a great location. I know Eddie's familiar with that location up there on Riding Circle. And it's just a really cool house, 420,000. It's 2,400 plus square feet, 4 bedrooms, and 2-story with huge views. So if you're looking for a house that has phenomenal views, really close in by Cottonwood Mall, give us a call right away for that one. We have 3 houses that are incoming soon that will be open. 2 of them starting today, this week, and one of them not till the 25th. So one of them is a great little house at 701 Claudine Street Northeast, which is just off Lomas between Wantabo and Eubank, or Eubank and Wantabo. And it's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath with 1 carport. It's listed for $265. It's in great shape, really cute house with a big yard, all fenced. The front is fenced. The back is also all walled and fenced in, and just like move-in condition for $265. So because that one is such a nice house, it qualifies for every financing type, and the seller is open to every financing type. Whereas some houses in that price range aren't in good enough condition for a first-time buyer loan kind of thing. This one is, so you want to jump on that one right away. Give us a call right away. We will have it open this weekend. So look for it on our website, 701 Claudine, or give us a call and we'll tell you where and when and how to know more about that one. Another one, another great opportunity, 419,900. 5517 Sonata Drive Northeast for basically $420,000. This is in El Dorado School District. Really great location. It's a 3 or 4 bedroom because there's a flex space. It will be open Saturday and Sunday. Give us a ring or get on our website, welcomehomeabq.com, because all the information is there. We also have one coming in Corrales, and this is the one that's in coming soon status, but can't be shown until May 25th. So Saturday, May 25th, there'll be an open house. It's 4,600 square foot house on an acre. It's all fenced with a gate. It's south end of Corrales, east side of Corrales Road, which people love. It's can I say walking distance? Mm-hmm. It's a stone's throw from where the growers market is, Indigo Crow, Hannah and Nate's. You could probably bike over to Ex Novo. There's ditches and everything, but it's really quick out of Corrales, and people love that south end and the east side of Corrales Road in the Bosque area. So that one is $1,100,000 for just under 4,600 square feet. It's 4 or 5 bedrooms. It's got 2 main primary bedrooms, so it could be great for multifamily. There's a very big suite, one end with an exterior door, so it could be very private, plus another bedroom wing. So really awesome property. So if you're interested in those, give us a ring. I know I could keep going, but I'll stop there.
That's a lot. No, that's great.
We have a lot of open houses this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Best just to give us a call and find out which houses you're interested in and when they're going to be open, because everything that's newly on the market this weekend on our team is open this weekend. We will be out in full force.
Yeah. All right. Let me go through. I teased it at the top of the show, so I want to get into it. Is Realtor.com, which is one of the national home websites. They do a really good job tracking a bunch of different metrics on the housing market because they have direct feeds to every one of the 400 or about 500 different MLSs around the country. So they have real-time data on what's going on in the housing market in the entire country. One thing they do, they give each market this thing called the market hotness score, right? And so what they're looking at is supply versus demand. How much supply is there? How much demand is there? And they give it a score based on that mix. And the short of it is, when you look at the entire country, the areas of the Northwest and
that sounded like Northeast West all combined.
I know, Northeast West. The Northwest, Manchester, New Hampshire, Rochester, New York, Springfield, Massachusetts, Worcester, Mass.
Those are the Northeast places.
What did I say?
Northwest.
The Northeast part of the country.
I'm like going Worcester and Manchester. Yeah, okay. Those are east. Okay, go ahead.
The other Northwest. The Northeast part of the country. Columbus, Ohio. Those are some of the hottest markets. Wisconsin, Midwest are really hot as well. Huh. And then when you look at the South and West, where we are, some of the markets in Arizona, some of the markets in Texas are a little bit cooler, not quite as busy. We know Austin obviously had a big kind of downturn just because they had such a big run up, but West Coast is still very hot. Anyway, the short of it is Albuquerque comes in right in the middle of all of it, which I like that. I like that place. A slow, boring housing market, honestly, that's what we want. We don't want big swings one way or another. And we came off of those big years of appreciation through half of 20, 21, 22, and then part of 23, we had that huge appreciation. But now we're back down to a little more steady, a little more moderate home price appreciation. And I will say, I did a market update here looking at the Zillow Home Value Index this week and put it on my Facebook. And what I found is that home prices are still year over year increasing, but the pace of increase has slowed. And what I'm seeing with list prices in our market is that home prices are not getting pushed up as high as they have been year over year, like we've seen in previous years. So I'm expecting home prices to maybe steady out a little bit, not have the big move ups like we've had. So there was a lot there. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about was affordability. And I'll just cut to the short of it. The short of it is affordability is not great really anywhere in the country. I think the only places that affordability is decent are places like St. Louis, some of these Midwest markets, Detroit, Pittsburgh. But for the most part, when you look at affordability around the entire, and even those markets, the affordability is still worse than their average over a period of time, just because of the high interest rates and the price appreciations we've had. But if we compare Albuquerque to like Phoenix or Tucson, our affordability is better. If we look at it compared to a market like Las Vegas, our affordability is better. I know we're a very different market than those. We're much smaller. But then if we go to a market like El Paso, which is very comparable to ours, we're actually more affordable than El Paso. And
that's because of wages.
Exactly. It's not just home price, it's also what the median wages are. So our wages are stronger there. And our affordability is better than the Tucson market, which is the other market that we get compared to quite often. So anyway, there's just some of those comparisons. Okay, I got to go to the story that was
I've been waiting for your story about headlines that drive you crazy. So if we could get there, that would be great.
Yeah, I know. Just what you want to hear is me whining about the news. Albuquerque Business First, and I'm not going to, they do a great job reporting on what's going on in the Albuquerque market. So this isn't about them. It's about whoever wrote their headline. That's it. Just whoever wrote the headline. And maybe AI wrote it. I don't know. But the headline says, and this is based on the April data that I just did an update on. So the April home price data, and it says Albuquerque home prices decreased slightly, number of sales on the rise. Okay. So when we look at home prices, you've got median price, you've got average price, you've got median price per square foot, and you've got average price per square foot. The only place there was a decrease was from March to April in median price by $1,000. It went from $351,000 to $350,000. Right. So if you just look at the headline, it says Albuquerque home prices decreased slightly. Okay, that's true. From when to when, right? You got to read the story to get the context. Plus, they only picked the one metric that had a decrease. Every other metric, average was up year over year and month to month. Price per square foot was up year over year and month to month as well. So anyway, okay, so that's my diatribe on headlines that drive me crazy. So I always just encourage people to not just take the headline for what they're seeing in the housing market, because housing market is very popular to, let's say, stir up emotions about. How's that? In news.
But there's a lot of topics, so they can stir up. Okay, so Tego, the home prices in general over year, you were giving me a stat the other day. Right now, they're not as big of a spread from a year ago as to where we're seeing things go right now, but prices are still up year over year.
That's exactly right. And that's what I'll quote what Zillow is putting out. So Zillow Home Value Index. And again, when they do that, they're looking at home values across the board, not just what things have sold for.
Right.
And they're trending right around 6% when we look at April versus April, 23 versus 24, about 6%, a little over 6%. And that's what I'm seeing in the price per square foot of sold as well. So it's right in that when you look at year over year. However, Zillow is projecting for our market an annual increase of only about 2%. So I think they're expecting home prices to flatten. And I will tell you, like I said earlier, I'm seeing that in the list price data as well, because our list price data tells us, okay, what are homes listed for? Those homes that are listed, what are they going to sell for in the future? And I'm only seeing about a 2% increase on that as well.
So if we're talking to a home seller today and they're thinking of putting their home on the market, we need to be somewhat cautious to not get it too high based on the future couple of months. And then we go into the fall, which we know price per square foot? Prices flatten out or even pull back a little bit?
Yeah, this is the thing. Every home is different in every price range, every property condition matters. The view, what features a home has, what finishes a home has, all that stuff matters. When I give these general numbers, it's big picture, right? You still have to look at every single property as an individual property and base what your list price is on that as well.
And what we know, Tego, is really we provide the data to the home seller about what the market is doing. And then they are the ones who decide what pricing strategy they want, right? If they want to really come in at the right price and hope that many people see their house and either get full price or maybe even more than one offer, or if they want to price it on the higher end of the range and see how the market reacts. What we know, though, is if you go too high from what the market is suggesting based on past data and numbers and all the analysis, we know that a lot of times those houses end up with price reductions.
Yeah, for sure. No, and that's true. And just one last thing I want to bring up, which is the big kind of what if that's floating out there, is mortgage rates. We've had great news on mortgage rates this last week. We had a CPI number, the inflation number came in within expectation. There was 2 different data points that came out this week, and that's driven mortgage rates. We actually hit back under 6. We actually had a 6 handle, as they say, just barely, but we were up over 7.5% here not too long ago. Now we're back at the high 6s or at 7. So that variable is one of those things that everybody's having a really hard time predicting what's going to happen with mortgage rates. And that is the variable that's going to either keep people from buying or move people toward buying in many cases, because it's the affordability thing.
So just to circle back on what I said a bit ago about if you price too high, you're probably going to end up with a price reduction. I just looked at 1 week stats of the number of homes that have had price reductions. Do you want to guess? So let me refresh you. We had 298 newly listed homes on the market. 273 homes went pending sale. How many homes do you think took a price reduction in the last week?
I'm of the 1,500 or so on the market, I'm going to say there were about 100.
You're wrong. 250.
Okay. Yeah, and I should know better because actually I've got the stat on that.
So for people who are thinking of selling and they say it's still a seller's market here in our area, yeah, it's a seller's market technically, and we're seeing that. However, there's still a price limit of what somebody's willing to pay for a property. And it's basically 249 was the number. And that's a lot of people taking price reductions.
Let me tell you one other stat. I saw homes priced in the higher price ranges had maybe a 2 or 3% increase year over year, where I was saying on average about 6%. But homes like under 300 had a 7 or 8% increase. So again, it really depends on the home and where it is.
Yeah.
So back to the price reductions, 37% of all the homes on the market had a price reduction. So that is the highest number of price reductions we've seen this time of year since, actually, this is all the way back to 2019. So it's even higher than 2019. So
lots of homes information. We'd love to hear from you. We're Venturi Realty Group of Real Broker. We're at 44888 and online, welcomehomeabq.com. So give us a ring or reach out and we'd be happy to help you with your home questions or needs.
Take care.